I could totally see how that would be frustrating. And you're like, I just want to learn the song, but it's way too hard.
And then you find like one chord you can't do in that song, and you're like, man, that's all messed up now. What am I supposed to do?
The whole thing is messed up.
Yeah, this is all messed up. I can't do it.
Hey everyone, Greg Burlett here, host of Guitar Origins Podcast, powered by AIMusicLessons.com, a site that teaches you guitar. I am super pumped to be talking to Electric Maddie today. She has been documenting her guitar learning journey on TikTok, all the way from day one, her 28th birthday, buying an electric guitar, all the way to now day 140 and actually playing some pretty tough riffs on the guitar and learning them. Crazy Train, ZZ Top. Very, very cool looking at how she's progressed in such a short period of time. So we're going to get into tips and tricks, things she wished she would have known on day one of learning. And let's just hop in. Let's go for it.
AI Music Lessons presents Electric Maddie.
I know that you're on a journey of learning guitar and you're publishing it on TikTok. I think you're on what, day 134?
Yeah, I think that was the last one that I posted, and then now I think I'm on 140.
140?
Sure. Yeah. Because I don't post every single day.
Right. And are you coming in straight fresh? Like you've actually never played guitar before, or?
I picked up a guitar when I was about 15, I think, because I thought it would be a really cool and easy thing. And I was wrong, like super fast. My parents bought me an acoustic guitar and I was like, oh, I feel so cool. Because I really liked like pop punk music and everything. And I thought it'd be so easy to do, especially because I grew up playing piano and everything, but it was not, and I didn't stick with it at all. So I probably stuck with it for like a month.
Yeah, what pop punk bands were you into? What's 15-year-old Maddie into?
I was into like The Maine and Green Day and Fall Out Boy, Paramore, like all of that stuff. Just anything that was just angsty. That's who I was.
Simple Plan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Simple Plan, like Blink-182. Totally.
Yeah. Hey, Blink-182 has a lot of great guitar riffs. Like Adam's Song is a really, really popular, like picking guitar riff that's really popular for people learning guitar. Have you tried that one yet?
I have not. I should, though. I love getting suggestions from everybody because I don't know where to start a lot of the time. I just kind of like pick random things when I like remember if I'm ever listening to something.
So is that kind of your inspiration for picking up guitar? Like I want to play these riffs that I thought were really cool back when I was a kid, or has it kind of evolved and manifested into a bigger guitar dream?
I think that I wouldn't shut up about getting a guitar for like a year during the pandemic because all these people were picking up hobbies. And I was like, I could do guitar again. I feel like that could be something I could get into. I don't have access to a piano now to practice that. So having some kind of musical outlet would be good for me because it's a stressful time during COVID. And then like a year later, I was like, okay, I still haven't shut up about it. So I should probably do it. And then I just kind of like randomly realized it's also my birthday coming up. So I got a guitar just to kind of unplug, I guess, and also learn fun riffs and things from my childhood, make me feel young again.
Right. That's so my pandemic project was sourdough baking along with like every other millennial on the planet.
Yes.
And I baked a bunch of loaves, and my sourdough starter, his name is Horace. He gets very angry and he bubbles up and then he goes back down again. And I totally just forgot about him in the fridge, and he's so dead. And I just kind of gave it up. What's made you stick with guitar?
It's honestly because of posting it on TikTok. I get so much support from these random people that I don't know. And I don't know why they would even care about me sticking with it. that
Right.
keeps me going. It's just like these constant little nudges. Not that you get like different nudges from people. You get the people that come in and they're like, you can do it. And then you get other people that are like, I'm practicing more because you're practicing. And then I feel like a responsibility all of a sudden. And I'm like,
Right.
oh gosh, I got to like stick with this because now people are actually like watching me and coming and checking in with me. So I think
Right.
that's kind of been the best way is making connections with these like random people.
Yeah, I noticed, like, I checked out your first video on TikTok, and it was, I'm posting on TikTok so that I have some accountability. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
actually like stick with it and keep posting and keep learning. And it's up to you guys. You're gonna keep me accountable. And I feel like getting into a new skill, there's so many reasons that you can have to drop it. Like, I'm not learning fast enough, or um, what have you, right?
Mhm.
But putting your stuff on social media and asking for accountability is a good way to stick with it, right? I
Yeah.
think a lot of people, when they're getting into, for example, lessons, like they need a private instructor to keep them accountable. And some people are just insanely motivated and like, okay, I'm going to pick up this song. I'm going to learn this riff because that riff is badass and I just really want to learn it. And other people really need that kind of guided tour to take them through. So that's really cool that you're kind of being vulnerable and putting yourself out on TikTok, because it is a very public platform to learn
Yeah.
on.
It is. And I mean, you don't just get support. So there's also that, I guess, that would keep me motivated too. You get a lot of haters
Yeah,
and people with opinions.
it's so interesting reading through some of the comments on your videos, because you have the internet is extremely bipolar. There's
Oh
people
yeah.
that are,
Yeah.
an outpour of love for what you're doing and just an outpour of hate for what you're doing.
Hmm.
And there's really like nobody in between that's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, your last video, I think someone said like, this is you at 130 days. Like
Yeah.
maybe you should drop the 2 strings and start playing bass. I was like,
Yep.
holy shit, that's
I know.
brutal.
Yeah, I get brutal comments like that all the time. But I think that I've been on the internet for so long that it doesn't really faze me. And I've always kind of had this idea that if anybody's going to throw me hate, the best thing to do is come back with like a sense of humor and like kind of laugh it off or even poke fun at yourself, I think is good
Right.
because they don't expect that. They kind of expect you just to get mad about
Hmm.
it. But then other people can just come in and get mad about it that are watching.
Right. Yeah, I love that you've taken it. I saw that you're tagging those post motivational Mondays, and
Hmm.
you're just using that hate to fan your flame and
Yeah.
do your thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been super fun. That's actually been one of the most fun parts about it, I guess, is just seeing what kind of people care enough to hate on it, I guess. And then
Right.
that motivates me and kind of pushes me to remember like why I'm doing this is to not gatekeep or make people feel like they can't learn the guitar. It's that anybody can be the best at the thing right away and like play through the whole song. It's like breaking it down step by step is going to make you feel a lot better about it. And I definitely took that into learning guitar.
So what is it exactly about chunking a song into little riffs that you're learning? What is it exactly that makes that easier for you?
I can get frustrated by rushing myself. And I'm like thinking that for some reason, if I play a song all the way through, it's going to sound awesome and I can't keep up. And if I break it up by like the first chunk and just master that, it actually kind of like motivates you to learn the rest of the song. And then you're like, oh man, this sounds
Right.
awesome. It just sounds awesome faster, I guess. And I kind of
Right, because
need
you
that.
kind of have like little checkpoints, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
okay,
need
I
that.
actually got this part down and I can play it and it sounds pretty damn near what the actual song
Yep.
is. So then it kind of gives you a jumping off point to kind of branch out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are there any riffs that you've learned or that you're learning that you had a really, really tough time with?
I have a ZZ Top Sharp Dressed Man, one that like I I like the amount of times I cuss when I'm trying to learn it. It's usually the gauge of how frustrated I am. And I don't know what it is. It's just like doing something really awkward with my fingers that I can't seem to get down. It took me so long just to memorize the pattern that when I like posted it to TikTok, people were like, you need to relax more. And I'm like, I will relax when I can just freaking memorize this for one time. Like that would
Yeah.
be great.
It's hard to relax when it's not muscle memory. Like
Oh
you're
yeah.
really, really focusing on something. It's actually really, really tough.
Yeah, and a lot of what I'm posting is me just practicing for 30 minutes to an hour. That's not very long. And
Yeah.
I wish that I could just like shout that to people. Not that I need to like make an excuse for why I'm like playing like that, but that's kind of, I think, kind of important probably for people to know that I'm not sitting here spending like a day on this thing.
It's not your full-time job learning guitar,
No,
right?
it's not. It's not. This is probably like the average person who can set aside just like a little chunk of time in the day, and then it will be frustrating and really slow to get something down, especially when something's harder.
So looking at like that's one of the newer riffs that you've learned. What was guitar day one for you? Unbridled excitement and then feeling like a failure, or like did you feel really pumped up about it or what?
Oh, I felt so good. It felt so cool just to plug it into an amp. Like that's the cool factor for me. And that's why I pick it over acoustic, is that I can plug it into an amp and like turn that up and just freaking do anything. I can just hit one note or one string and it sounds awesome. That's how it makes me feel to do that. So I don't really have to know a lot right in the beginning to feel awesome. And that's probably why I also take little baby steps, because you want to keep those moments alive.
Totally. I remember my first electric guitar my parents got, I think I was in grade 6. And I totally remember that first feeling of plugging it into my amp. And I threw on my distortion pedal, just highest crunch, highest gain it could possibly go, and just strummed. And I don't even know if I played a chord, but my God, it sounded awesome. It sounded so good. It was super empowering. And I think that's all I did my first day playing guitar. Like I just put like one finger on a fret and just strummed it with the highest distortion that I could.
Yeah, no, I just like messed around with everything and got familiar with like just the guitar itself and how it felt and the amp. And I'm not used to an amp at all. Had no idea what the buttons do. So kind of going through the different sounds of my amp, because my amp comes with all of these like settings that are fun to play with, like robotic noises. So it was definitely probably extremely annoying to my downstairs neighbor, but
amazing. You're in an apartment. Yeah. I used to have this Mesa Boogie half stack behind me in my apartment in Montreal. And I couldn't even put it like a quarter of the way to one because it's just so loud. It's so overkill for an apartment.
Yeah, I try to wait till she's gone or something. She was out for a while, like traveling, and then that's when I really was practicing more. But I have to plug in my headphones mostly and then be really quick if I'm on TikTok. And that's probably why I get like frustrated too, is trying to rush to film something.
Yeah. So what does your journey kind of look like? Like you started with obviously like learning how to pluck some frets and some strings. And then did you kind of get right into power chords because you were into pop punk when you were like 15-year-old Maddie? Or did you get right into like open chords, or like what guitar really excited you?
I did open chords first, and I think that's just because I kind of thought that's what you do first. I wasn't too familiar with what a power chord was actually. And when I found out what they were, then I was like, oh, this is like punk. This is actually what it is. Okay, that's cool. But I learned that like power chords from when I went to my first lesson. My cousin gives lessons. He's a guitarist here in Portland. And he was just like, what kind of music do you like to play? You know, all the open chords, but what makes you like excited? And I was like, oh, pop punk. And he was like, so we're talking like Green Day. We're going to do some Green Day today. And I'm like, all right. And then he just showed me some power chords and told me how they worked. And then that just clicked so fast for me to tell me about like patterns and where you put your fingers. That made it just way more exciting to play, was to learn those.
Like power chords are one of the skills that you learn on guitar where it opens up so many songs. Because even if there is a song that has open chords in it, you can still play it as power chords, and you keep around the same kind of 2-3 finger setup and just move it around the fretboard, and you're kind of good to go.
Yeah, and I can kind of guess what combos of power chords will make certain songs that I know. So that's kind of like a fun exercise too, is to listen to something and try to recreate it myself without looking them up. I think it's a lot of fun. And it also just kind of sounds badass to other people. Like once I started playing power chords, you get like your friends are kind of more excited for you. They're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know what that is, but that's awesome sounding. Right on.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but when you play piano, it's like a 1-to-1 map between the key that you press and the pitch that you get, right? Whereas on guitar, there can be up to 6 different ways to play something on your fretboard. And it's kind of up to you as a guitarist to figure out how you want to play it, right? And there's like tabs that kind of instruct you, but they don't really give you like fingering positions and like what position your fingers are on. So do you have difficulty kind of just picking up a tab off the internet, for example, and kind of like reasoning about it, how to play it?
Yeah, that's like half of my time is spent going, okay, wait, I thought that was a G. You're telling me this is also a G? What kind of G should I play? And I think what helped me with my cousin giving me lessons was he said that often what you'll hear is just play it the easiest way. That makes sense for that song, especially like right now in the beginning. Like people will often kind of try to make shortcuts with stuff, just to let your fingers flow better. And so he was just giving me tips on like how to make it a little bit faster with that. But yeah, that's like half of my time or half of my other time is like finding a tab that's way too hard right now for my fingers to even do it all. And I'm like, well, I can't learn this song right now. That sucks. And I just spent 10 minutes trying to find out if I could do it.
Totally. Like, I think that's one of the detriments of just kind of searching for tabs on Google, whether it's on Ultimate Guitar or Songster or, whatever tab site you're looking at. You're often looking at, someone's rendition of like the studio version of a track, and they're kind of mapping out exactly how they would play it live, or, like pretty similar to how they would play it live. But as a beginner guitarist, like you might want to dodge bar chords for a little bit because they kind of suck and they hurt your fingers. Or, if something has like that F major chord in it with the little bar, a lot of beginners have issues with that chord, the hellspawn of a chord. You might want to like flip it around and do it in a different way. So I could totally see how that would be frustrating. And you're like, I just want to learn the song, but it's way too hard.
And then you find like one chord you can't do in that song, and you're like, man, that's all messed up now. What am I supposed to do?
The whole thing is messed up.
Yeah, this is all messed up. I can't do it.
So has part of your journey being looking at those songs that you really want to play and kind of learning like how to simplify them, or do you just like chuck them in the garbage and like I'll come back to it later?
It's like half and half. It's like I'll chuck it in the garbage. For a while it was anything that had a bar chord in it. No way, because I knew that I just couldn't do that yet, and it was so frustrating for my fingers that I just said, nah, we'll come back later. If I really like this song that much, then I'll want to play it. And once I started learning some bar chords, it didn't seem as intimidating to learn other bar chords or other chords in general. I think bar chords was like another hump to get over. I'm like almost there with bar chords. I'm getting there. It's a lot better than when I first started. It was very ugly.
What kind of techniques did you try to master bar chords?
Oh, I think that first for me, it was going extremely slow and just trying to even lay my fingers down in this really awkward position, like putting my finger to the side was a big one, and having other people. Yeah,
that's a really good point.
Yeah, people in my comments were also giving the same kind of tips, and so it made me feel better about like that I picked the right way to do it, I guess, and kind of like stretch my fingers, and then doing finger stretching exercises helped a ton.
Finger stretching exercises?
Yeah, just like anything that got me to use my pinky. I think getting to use my pinky early on helped me a lot. Because that just made me already uncomfortable. And so that I do think that like scales and finger stretching stuff did help me with the bar chord stuff for some reason. And
Yeah.
then just taking my hands off the guitar, putting it back on in the same position, taking it off, putting it on without any kind of strumming was a good thing.
That's a really good like way to just build muscle memory, so that you know kind of where you're what it feels like when you're in the right position, right?
And I wasn't trying to learn a bunch of bar chords. It was just one.
Just one.
Start with.
Yeah. I think another thing that really helped me when I was learning bar, I'm trying to remember back to like when I was in grade 8 or something like that. But I remember having trouble with bar chords and totally like using the side of your finger and kind of like the orientation of that. And then also like moving my elbow closer to the neck of my guitar really helped quite a bit, just to like make sure that you really get that bar.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, it is a matter of kind of experimentation and like really like the biomechanics of your body, just like figuring out how it works. Right.
And also plucking each string slowly to know what one is the beast that is ruining everything, I think is helpful. And for me, it was always like the high string, like, oh my gosh. Every time.
Like your high E string?
Yeah, just every time. It's like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing what I want you to do? And then just finally just tucking in my elbow a particular way helped a lot.
Right. I think that's a really good tip for bar chords, or actually kind of any chord in general. Like as you're learning, put your fingers where you think they should be on the fret, and then pluck through each individual string and just make sure you don't have any mutes or stuff that sounds awful in there. And then you can kind of reorient your fingers and figure out like what you're messing up. I think that's a really good tip. Good tip, Maddie.
Thanks. I'm a pro, right?
Hey, even after like 140 days, you've probably learned so much in those 140 days.
Yeah, I have. I feel like I can kind of give people some tips. I have people coming into my DMs asking me things all the time. And I'm like, well, I don't really know, but I do know this based off of my experience with doing it for this short amount of time. Yeah.
Kind of reflecting back on day one where you started, what do you wish that you knew?
I mean, I feel like people had me so covered in the comments, like alternate picking, people telling me to do that. But I don't think I got into alternate picking until a couple weeks into it. And I wish that I would have just done it out the gate. I think would have made me feel even better.
Yeah, because alternate picking is one of those techniques that really increases your speed once you get it, because you're able to really like hit 8th note, 16th note kind of patterns in there that you wouldn't otherwise. Or, if you're playing like pop punk, a lot of people still play like power chords, all downstrokes, just because they like the sound of it, right? But yeah, it's a really good technique that I think is definitely worthwhile learning. Did you struggle with it at all, or?
Once I spent like a couple days, that's all I can do now. I can't really change anything up now. That's what I want to do is alternate pick. So I think that's like, the faster you can do alternate picking, the better. And people were totally right in my comments about it. They were all on me about it. They're like, alternate picking, number one tip.
What are some other techniques, knowing what you know now, that you think are perhaps more difficult when you start off, but 100% just do this, it'll make you a better guitar player?
I mean, don't be afraid of bar chords, because I also talk with people that said that they've been playing for 2 years and they still won't try them. And I know it's really scary, but you just have to do it. And they are right. Like sometimes your brain just clicks. It's really weird. Like it's really frustrating one day. And if you stepping away is really important. Don't try to like push through a song if it's not working. Just take a break and then visualize it in your mind. I've had other people too that were saying to like think about the songs before you fall asleep at night, and that was 100% happening. And then I would play so much better the next day. So I would say that too. Yeah,
you're not the first guitar player that we've talked to that have mentioned sleep and kind of like putting something to the side, kind of mulling over it in the background, and then just taking a good sleep on it, coming back in the morning and just being able to play it infinitely better. It's really interesting. you
It
mentioned
helps a
that.
ton. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. Have you ever tried to write a riff yourself?
No, I have not yet. And I don't know why. I think I've like played around with the guitar and just seen what sounds good, but I haven't tried to write anything, and I'm not sure why I haven't. So now I will. Now you're going to
Yeah.
motivate me.
I think you should, if that's something that excites you. Like, I think
Yeah.
a lot of people are very excited just by playing their favorite songs, and that's kind of like their guitar dream and what they want to do, and power to them, and that's what they should do. But yeah, if it really taking a step and kind of jumping into that deep end of just writing your own stuff seems really intimidating and scary, but even 4 open chords kind of pieced together in your own strum pattern is your song.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be meaningful, and throw some lyrics over it, and like, it's a song and you made something, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'll
So I think
definitely do
you should
that.
definitely try it. It'd be
Yeah.
fun.
No, that'd be super fun. I haven't had anybody really ask me that. So maybe that's all I needed, was just somebody be like, hey, you should write something. And then
Yeah.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah. I think even if it's like, think about riffs that you've learned from bands that really excite you. You're like, that's really, really fun to play, and kind of using that as like your inspiration, your starting point, and kind of like tweaking those riffs. And even in the beginning, if it sounds somewhat similar, you're
Mm-hmm.
still kind of like learning how to modify from all of your influences and make your own stuff, which
Yeah.
I think is definitely like the first step.
No, that's a great tip. I love that.
Yeah.
You can do that.
What now I'm really curious about this. What specifically kind of frightens you or scares you about writing your own stuff?
I just like sometimes don't even know where to start. And maybe that's just listening to other stuff first to kind of see. I think it also, maybe it's like a performance anxiety thing. And like, not that I have to write my own riff and play it in front of people, but
Yeah.
maybe then I feel like I should. I don't know, maybe because I've just documented everything that I've done so far, I would probably feel this need to post it online. And then that's probably the part that scares me is people coming in.
Right.
Because they can, they can say all they want about me playing other people's songs. But if it's about my own creation, that's a little different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like, there definitely is an aspect to performance anxiety. And I think it's something that even plagues really, really seasoned guitar players. Because like myself, for example, like I played, pop punk growing up, and then I
Oh,
got
cool.
into kind of like hardcore, metalcore, screamo kind of music,
Cool.
which is like really fast riffs, and a lot of kind of like noodly guitar. But it's not necessarily like, we didn't have solos in our music. Like, no one's shredding solos. So I just never really had a need to shred, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of like, once you get into the guitar culture and community, that's kind of like your street cred, like your self-worth. Like, okay, well, play me something, and then you just like expected to solo. And you're like, there's so much more to guitar than just like laying down a shredding solo, just blazing someone's eardrums off. Like, guitar is so much more nuanced and cooler than that. And there's so many different genres, and stuff is hard in different genres and easier in other genres. And I think people should just chill out and just enjoy the music.
No, definitely. That kind of makes me think of like when comedians talk about people coming up to them and saying like, tell me a joke. Like, that's if somebody came up to me and they're like, play something. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you give me some context? Do you like this kind of genre of music?
Exactly.
I only know like 3 songs I can play really well. Do you want me to play really well for you, or do you care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liken it a lot to, have you ever learned another language?
Yeah.
Other than English? Okay, so
I'm learning French right now.
French, cool. Yeah, so I'm the same way. Like, I'm an English native speaker, but I moved out to Montreal for a couple of years, and they're predominantly francophone there. And I ran into a lot of kind of like performance anxiety with like trying to speak that language because it's something, brand new. I can't express really deep thoughts or emotions in it. Like everything's kind of like topical. And part of your brain is like, they're going to think I'm stupid, or they're going to think that I'm like dumb for not being able to like conjugate verbs properly, or I sound a little bit off. And then my biggest kind of revelation was thinking about when other people are learning English, for example, and they're talking to me, and I'm just so pumped that they're speaking my language, and I really just want to help them. And I'm just like genuinely like amped for them. Like I'm super pumped. So I'm like going out of my way to like help them and encourage them to speak. And I think that should be what guitar is about. When people like either like you're writing your own riffs, like people should encourage you. Like it should be just like language. But I totally understand where that anxiety comes from.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's such a good point about just thinking if it's flipped with somebody else. Like if somebody else were to play something on guitar, I'd be all for that. Like good for you. And also you just get bonus points for just performing in front of somebody and like going for it. It's so hard. I think languages, that's super hard too. But it is similar to guitar for sure. It's just speaking your own language, really.
Yeah, well, music is a language, right?
Yeah.
And it's one that anyone can pick up, and it takes time to develop that language for sure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely hard to hop in front of people and show them what you got.
Yeah.
Which you're definitely doing through TikTok, which is pretty cool.
But it's not live performance, because I'll get people in my comments too that are like, so when are you going to be playing? Or you better get a hard case for your guitar if you're going to go play gigs. And I was like, whoa. I am not
I'm
looking.
140 days in. I don't know about playing gigs.
I don't know if that's going to change. I don't really care to play in front of people. I like having my own boundaries of the camera and getting to try it like a million times before I put it up. Not that I do that every time with my stuff, but sometimes you want it to sound up to your expectations, I guess, before you post it.
So kind of talking about, your hard case and going to gigs. If there was one band that you could play with and they just said, "Hey, Maddie, get over here. You're going to play guitar for a song." What band would you pick and why?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Because I've seen other videos online of when they like call somebody out from the crowd too, and they're
Dave
like,
Grohl
"Hey,
does this all the time.
That's
He
so
brings up like
cool.
some girl.
Yeah,
Like, "Hey,
it's awesome.
you want to play drums? You want to play guitar?"
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, I feel like my head naturally went to. I have a shirt on of the band too. It's the Linda Lindas. I don't know if you've been like following them at all. They're like these girls that are in middle school that started a punk band, and they like went viral for their music, but you should check them out. They're awesome.
Cool.
But I think that they're extremely inspirational, and I think that their videos came out and I had seen them in like a movie, and I thought it was just like so awesome that they were kind of there for me when like I felt just listening to them and watching them perform. They were there in the beginning of my guitar process. And I feel like it'd be so cool to perform with them. And like, it would definitely be like an all-female band, probably, for sure. I feel like I would think that's like super fun.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on being a female guitar player in a lot of genres? Like, for example, metal is kind of all dudes.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's you get different comments, and I have connected with other female guitarists on TikTok that talk about going through the same thing, but you get a lot of comments that are like, you need to smile more, like stuff like that. You should
like, I can't smile because I'm playing bar chords
yeah,
right
I'm
now.
like focusing right now. Oh my gosh, do you want me to smile through my focus? I cannot do that. It looked terrifying. But they'll say that, or like, you get like little things like hun. I don't know. There's just like sweetie. And that just makes me feel like a little kid or something, or like talking down to you, or like, good job for a girl, like stuff. Yeah.
Do you feel like your haters are mostly men?
Oh yeah. I've never had a single hate comment from a girl ever. 100%, 1000% have never. It's always like older men. It's
wild.
Like, yeah, that's in my experience. It's been that. I don't think other women have talked about getting girls in their comments either. Girls are like really supportive. That's what I found. But it's not that men aren't, but yeah, it's just more so.
Right. Do you think that old men are like protecting the boys club of guitar?
Know. Yeah, they're like gatekeepers. A lot of them. They're like, they're like, you can't. Yeah, there's like a particular way you need to play it. Like a lot of my hate comments, and not just like the trolls that don't have any videos. You get guys in there that they have a specific kind of music that they like, and if you're doing it a way that they don't agree with, then they're gonna come and tell you. And it's really weird. It was such a shocking thing to have like strong hate in the beginning. And I remember just telling all my friends about it, and they were coming in there and like commenting back to these people. Like, wow,
that's great.
They feel like threatened by you.
Yeah, like I definitely understand kind of like the metal genre, because like I definitely see that, and I've talked to other female guitarists that feel a bit intimidated, and like they're kind of ostracized in that group. Like, hey, you shouldn't be here, which I think is absolute bullshit. But yeah, it's interesting to hear your take on it, and I hope that everyone can be supportive of anyone that wants to learn guitar.
Yeah,
it's such a badass, fun instrument to learn.
Yeah,
and there shouldn't be any hate surrounding it, for sure.
Oh, definitely. And there just needs to be more like women in music in general, and picking up instruments and forming bands. Because I know, like, growing up in pop punk, there wasn't many bands with girls in them or any women to like look up to. So that's probably also why I got into guitar later. Maybe it's just didn't see a lot of faces when I was growing up that were women in guitar. And now you have like all these like inspirational people that you can connect with on the internet.
Yeah. Was there a female guitarist growing up that you really aspired to?
No. And I really, because I remember when you guys had reached out to me and you were like, favorite guitarist, I really don't come from a background of like knowing any guitarists. I couldn't really name any. If you put a gun to my head, I'd be like, oh God, I don't know.
Well, we won't.
No, I know. And I was like, should I like look them up? But in all honesty, I just like the music that I like, and I probably go for more of like an attitude thing and like personality, and it'll get there eventually. Like, I've learned so much about music picking up guitar too, and my music tastes have definitely changed since picking up a guitar. And like now I focus more on a guitar when I'm listening to a song. I'll like tune in.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Do you listen to music differently?
Oh yeah,
since you picked up guitar.
Yeah, and I had somebody else ask me that too, and I was like, yeah, I do. I like now I seek out like a lot of songs that have guitar in it, and I'm just listening to that and imagining myself playing it, or what that must be like, or if it's difficult or easy, or if they're like relaxed when they're playing it. And now I'm getting more into like kind of like classic rock, to not that I didn't like classic rock before, but I just am like revisiting things that like my parents were showing me as a kid, and now I listen to it in a different way than just it sounds good. Now I can understand it more.
Yeah, I think like I'm a huge advocate of like critical listening to music, and I do music listening parties with my wife, and we just turn off all the lights. We'll go into a room, we'll pick an album, and you just listen to it. Close your eyes, just listen to it, because audio is something that is consumed usually while you're doing something else, like you're cooking or you're cleaning and you have a podcast going, or you have, you know, like whatever playing. But so rarely do you just sit down and listen to music.
Yeah.
And I think that that's definitely changed since streaming. Like I remember going to the CD store, not that old. Going to the CD store, picking up a CD, and like that was my night. that was all I would do. I'd just sit on the couch and listen to it front to back like 2-3 times. And it definitely changed once Spotify came out and other streaming platforms.
Yeah. Now I can't even name off an album really anymore.
I know, isn't that sad?
It's all singles. I couldn't tell you. It's really weird how that's changed. And I also remember like taking CDs home and just listening to them until I was sick of it, really. But now it's just one song that you kind of find in a mix of things. But we also do listening parties here as well with like albums and trying to appreciate it. Because I had a music professor in college that was big on you need to pick out an album, put it on, do nothing else but listen to it. It'll just like change everything with how you listen to music. And it actually just makes you get a better feel if you actually like it than if you are just listening to it in the background. Because sometimes in the background, I will be like, I don't like this. But if I listen to it and focus on it, I might like it or I might hate it. But I love just sitting there and listening to just a full album. Yeah.
And the best part is when someone else picks a song or an album for you. And then you get subjected to it, whether you like it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And, at the end of that 45 minutes, you can be like, well, I didn't really like that. But at least you gave it a try and you listened to it.
We just did that, I think it was last week. My fiance put on Radiohead. He grew up on Radiohead. He knows that I am not the biggest Radiohead fan, but I also haven't listened to a lot of Radiohead. And
nice. Which album did you go? OK Computer?
Yeah, OK Computer. That's what he chose. And it was just funny to just sit there and like talk with him about it. And then he was explaining his background of it and like why he loves it and how he can understand why I might feel a certain way about this song. But what if we just switch that word out for a different thing? And I'm like, oh, because a lot of people will say like Radiohead sounds really sad and like whiny. And that's like a big critique for Radiohead from people that don't like Radiohead. And then he was like, actually, it's kind of more like melancholy. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. That makes me listen to it in a different way. Fine. Yeah. It's nice to just like discuss that and kind of have somebody there to defend the music a little bit too.
Yeah. What were your thoughts, like now that you've been playing guitar a little bit, what were your thoughts on OK Computer? Like Johnny Greenwood playing?
It was fine. I don't know.
It was fun. Oh, okay. So I'm a huge Radiohead fan.
So I can no, I know. I can I won't hate it. I won't hate on it, but I am still like not a huge Radiohead fan. I don't know.
That's totally cool.
Yeah. That's how I felt. I was like, that's cool. That's how I felt about it at the end. I was like, yeah, cool. All right.
Nice. Was there anything that you've listened to, whether it's in listening parties or, just through exploration that you didn't think that you would like and the guitar kind of really spoke to you and you're like, holy shit, that's a really cool riff. And now I want to get into that music.
I don't know if it wasn't really like a particular riff or anything, but I've gotten onto like kind of more bluegrass side of TikTok all of a sudden. And I have never appreciated bluegrass. Yeah. Or I know that's not usually guitar, but there are some people that I follow that play a lot of bluegrass on like acoustic and everything. And it's like just so insane looking and sounding that I think it's like now one of the most beautiful pieces of music ever. And I never thought I would. And will I be able to play it right now? Probably not, because it takes a lot of finger picking skills. But it's up there as like goals now and like inspiration. And I like to listen to something new now because of it. It's just like amazing sounding.
That's really cool. What about finger picking? Like, have you tried it out, and what are your thoughts on it versus holding a pick?
It's hard on the electric guitar. It's a lot easier for me to do it on acoustic, which I still have like my old acoustic guitar. I just don't really like pick it up as much. I need to get the strings changed out, but I think it's really relaxing. It's easy I think that's actually an easier way to kind of make something up is finger picking and kind of stick to a pattern and kind of like pluck some strings and see what sounds beautiful to you. I do like it. I'm still focused probably mostly on just like using a pick, but I like exploring other things too. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, what you said about like why would you do this? It's just doing it for fun. Like you got to try and be the best. It's like literally it's play guitar.
Yeah.
Play, like have fun with it and do what gets you hyped about a certain song, or like go learn that technique,
Yeah, and it's not all about music theory. It's probably the other one I would say. There's a lot of music
Yeah.
theory people out there that it's like that's all they might think about, but maybe all you wanted to do was just learn this one song this month, and that makes you so happy and it keeps you playing. And you want to
Yeah.
keep people playing guitar and like have more people be invited into the community. And I think having like open arms and being welcoming is so important to that.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to make a bold statement that 95% of guitar players, if not higher, don't know music theory and don't care to.
Probably. I think that
Yeah.
I like am probably picking out like a particular group of people. I feel like that's kind of how it is in comments anyways. You get the people that like care about theory and like that's their everything. But maybe also people assume that's what they care about and only care about. There's a lot of like people fighting in guitar culture too, just like different people that are like, well, you said this, so like that means that you feel this way, and it's not really like that. I'm just kind of like watching things unfold and in my comments, and I have no idea what's going on. They'll mention people's names too of like famous guitarists or just something, and I'm like, cool, that's great. And then somebody else will step in and start fighting, and I'm like, okay, let's not do that.
You take it from here.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
The internet. So much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, kind of wrapping up here. Do you have any advice for people who want to learn guitar or are learning right now?
Do it. If you want to buy a guitar and you're thinking about it, get a guitar. If you are learning acoustic and you don't like it and you want to do electric, then do that. And there's not one way to learn. And I think that's a big thing, is do it how you want to do it. Look at various options of how to learn and kind of pick which one's right for you. Don't listen to other people to like say you have to watch like Maddie music and only that, or like Justin guitar. Just like explore options and see what fits best for you and have fun.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think everyone learns differently.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might really excel from private one-on-one lessons, and they need that accountability, right? Yeah. Someone might want to learn and post on TikTok for accountability. I hear there's people like that out there.
Yeah.
Some people might want to like Google around for online lessons kind of stuff. There's just a myriad of ways out there to learn guitar. And I think that they're all great options, or some hybrid of multiple different things.
Yeah.
And whatever helps you.
And don't be afraid to post your stuff online. I think people can be afraid to do that, and you don't have to. But just finding a community of people that support you, because I'm sure not everybody has guitarist friends that will be able to give them feedback or kind of give them the support that they need. So finding a good community, I would say, is key too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you feel ready, a smaller community, join a band.
Yeah, definitely.
Super good for learning how other guitar players operate and kind of, learning from someone else. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks a lot for joining me today, Maddie. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can check out Maddie's TikTok at Electric Maddie, right?
Yep, that's it.
Is that it? Do you want to plug your other TikTok?
Yeah, I also have Maddie.Kirby, so super easy to remember that too. And that's just comedy videos.
And you can go check out all of Maddie's videos and her whole guitar journey. She has a bunch of videos up on TikTok, all the way up to day 140.
I think 140. Something.
140?
Yeah.
140. Which is pretty cool. It's actually amazing seeing your progress. I think you're doing fantastic.
Thank you.
And keep up with it. and I hope you write that riff eventually.
I will, and I'll make sure to send it to you if I do.